Indigenous peoples face an unprecedented crisis, and the challenge is clear. We need to unite to win. This August 9, we are coming together to celebrate the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples, even under the hardest and harshest lockdowns and huge challenges. Our situation begs the question, where can the 476 million indigenous peoples around the world draw inspiration to mark this day?
Amid the pandemic's restrictions, the entry of business and state projects in ancestral lands did not slow down. Illegal mining, state infrastructures, and destructive projects took advantage of the quarantined population, endangering indigenous communities from the COVID-19 and land grabs. Indigenous peoples are for the longest time disproportionately affected by different types of health crises, even before the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition to poverty and inaccessible healthcare services, many indigenous peoples live in isolated or distant villages where services are difficult to get, limited or non-existent. While indigenous communities mitigate the pandemic's impact with communal efforts and traditional practices, the violence, criminalization, killings, and terrorist tagging intensified, and this added another threat to their lives. These attacks, which are linked to state forces and big businesses against the lives of those defending their lands and rights, those protesting against the government's poor pandemic response and anti-people policies, are being carried out with the deadly virus of impunity. The fight against the COVID-19 pandemic has also been weaponized by state forces against indigenous people's struggle for recognition and genuine freedom. The government's failure to address peace, justice, and accountability continues to drive conflict and violence. Issues of internal displacements, land exploitation, and human rights violations remain unaddressed as governments launch fascist attacks against movements for self-determination. But indigenous peoples are not taking this sitting down, making waves in the front lines of defense of rights, land, life, and freedom. Indigenous people stand strong even during the pandemic. With their visibility and actions on ground, the victory of assertion is cutting across nations, territories, and communities. It is building unities among indigenous peoples with their allies and advocates. The dominant world order needs more than recovery. It demands transformation. It means ending discrimination, dismantling structures of colonialism and imperialism, eradicating inequality, and destroying the roots of oppression and injustice against indigenous peoples and other marginalized sectors of society.
We are taking the struggle forward.
Onwards with our fight for land, life, and freedom.
Adelante con nuestra lucha por la tierra, la vida y la libertad.
Let
us
unite to win.
Let's unite to win.
Let's unite to win.
Let's unite to win.
Struggle for self-determination and liberation.